we are doing lectures in Thailand together with Kun Jay, now I would say since 4 years, about digital manufacturing, Industry 4.0 or smart manufacturing. And now it's the first time that we are doing here at the KMUTT a lecture about supply chain management. We have only 2.5 hours. We don't have too much. It's only a teaser for you. Let's say that you get some idea what is purchasing, what is procurement, and what are the challenges at the moment for us in automotive industry. So I start with a very short introduction with myself so that you understand a little bit. Okay, it's working. You see here, my name is Frank. You see my picture is a little bit different than the one that you have seen at the invitation. It looks like that there was some AI picture or some beauty cam used because the person looks much younger actually than I am. So when you look about the Vita, about the curriculum, I'm not sure it's working somehow. When you look at the Vita, you see here, I have a PhD in mechanical engineering from a German university in Karlsruhe. And I started my career after 5 years in research. Actually, I made a PhD at the Nuclear Research Center. And then I started at the Bosch company. And you will see, I started in 96, so it's more than 25 years now. And what is typical for our company, you will see a little bit later on, it's a very big company that myself and also Milan, we have different positions during our professional life, and we worked also in foreign countries. So I make it very quick. You see here, I had long experience in manufacturing. I was also more than 5 years plant manager in hydraulics sector. Then I was at the corporate function, and since 2015, I'm now in purchasing. Concerning my private life, you see here, maybe you cannot see because it's too small, but I'm married. I have one daughter. She's 21 years old, so maybe your age or a little bit around about your age. She's studying business administration in Germany, in Frankfurt. I like sports. I like, for example, the jet ski here. I can do in Thailand. Very good. Germany, difficult. Maybe you know in Germany we don't have speed limit. So driving on the Autobahn is really a pleasure. The only limitation is your car. My car is limited at 250 kilometers per hour. The car can go faster, maybe 275, but there's an electronic limit. And I can tell you 250 on a free highway, that's lots of fun actually. Okay, and here you see also the work. Yeah, I was responsible for purchasing quality also. So manufacturing, purchasing quality, manufacturing strategy, different positions, and thereof 7 years in France, in Lyon. I hand now over to Milan because we don't have too much time now to go in detail.
Savadi krap. You can call me Kun Milan. After university, actually, I studied biology and IT and physics. I started as a quality engineer at Bosch. The advantage of Bosch is if you step in and you like to work in any position, you are able to grow. You get the trainings for positions, and after a couple of years, 2-3 years, you can move to another one and again get the training. So you will be always up to date and skilled to work at Bosch. Important is that we are looking for the talents, internships, that you are able to motivate, be the role model for the others. Yeah, that's why when we do this kind of cooperation with the universities, we also offer to you to get in, to touch the Bosch company, to see the production from inside, and also be the part of the Bosch company in the future. I am coming from Czech Republic. I was working there in the plant for 4 years, and then 2010 I moved to Germany. I was a project leader for the lean production, so-called Bosch production system. It's similar to the Toyota production system. What you are doing, we're implementing lean production. 4 years in Germany, and then I moved to the Thailand because ASEAN region was under control of Japan from the Bosch point of view. we didn't have so many customers, OEMs here. And that time, Volkswagen said, oh, I would like to build up here one hub to produce the cars. But then came the Dieselgate, but we always move where we do have the OEM's customer. So that means that we start to establish here the purchasing organization in Thailand, Bangkok, in Queen Sirikit opposite. This is FIY, our office. And I was responsible for to develop suppliers because we would like to localize the products. Another two colleagues were responsible for purchasing and another for quality. And that's actually the reason why we start to work with the universities, because it was very difficult for us to find the people that will be able to work for us in Thailand. And also the plants, they were looking for the talents, and our suppliers, they told me, we would like to have somebody who is able to implement Industry 4.0. Lean production system, engineers, please can you help us? And that's why we also start to work with universities, like with KUNJ and also with KMUTT, how we can then extend this cooperation and then introduce the company Bosch, and then how easy to work with, yeah? And offer you the internships. I was living in Thailand since 2023. I was responsible for Japan, Korea, China, and the whole Asia Pacific. And the focus was supply development. That means that to get ready our suppliers in Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam to be able to produce the parts for us for Bosch.
Milan Thai.
Chai, nignoi, but dai, na, crap. And then last year I moved to Germany, responsible for the worldwide supply development. And now, 2005, I took the position in Germany to support our new suppliers or current suppliers for electrification. You know that we have a lot of issues now in the world benchmark and also competition. And then we would like to also gain the market share in the EV. And my task is now with my team to industrialize the European suppliers to be the benchmark in class. Yeah, same hobbies. It's a passion what we are doing. Doesn't matter if you are going to the mountain or we are at the supplier. It's always that give the heart and then work in 120% and on site and then to do the best.
Okay, how will we proceed now? We prepared 5 topics for you for the next 2 hours. And please, I know it's always difficult, but please ask questions. Yeah? Maybe I start with the question. Who is from Thailand here? Okay. Who's not from Thailand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Where do you come from? Germany. Okay. Then where do you come from? Poland. Okay. Then where do you come from? Okay. So, and you? Canada and here yet? Nigeria. Okay. US. Okay. So we have Afghanistan. Also from Afghanistan? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I would say international audience. Very interesting, right? So, okay, perfect. Then let's keep on going. We make a short introduction about the company. We don't want to make now promotion about the Bosch company, but it's more that you get a little bit understanding what is our background, where are we coming from, and where are the challenges. So I've prepared some. Oh. Okay. Okay, what is the company Bosch? So maybe when you're, I would say from Europe, you heard about the company, but in Thailand, maybe not all of you. There are 4 sectors. The biggest sector is mobility. That's where Milan and myself are coming from. Mobility means passenger cars, commercial vehicles, two-wheelers. I know in Asia, very, very important. And also e-bike, electrified bike. I have not seen actually in Thailand so many, but in Europe, it's a big market. Then we have industrial technology, which means, for example, assembly lines, robots, industrial valves. Then we have consumer goods. Consumer goods are household appliance or drilling machines, for example, power tools. And the last sector is energy and building technology. And maybe you have heard that we bought the HVAC business, the air conditioning business from Johnson Controls and Hitachi. It was a big acquisition for 7 billion euros. So this is everything here concerning heating and cooling in houses. Okay, seems not to work. Or at least a little bit. How big is the company now that you get an understanding? So it's in 2024, it was 90 billion euros. That's maybe 95 billion USD, I would say, roundabout. So we are coming close to 100. And then what is also important, roundabout 420,000 associates. Also in Southeast Asia, even in South Africa, we have, by the way, a factory. In the US anyway, in Nigeria not, as far as I know, Afghanistan also not, but in India. So we have more or less a worldwide manufacturing. Poland also is a manufacturing site in Wrocław. So more or less a worldwide manufacturing footprint. A little bit communication issues here. Okay, now as we are talking about the mobility sector is a little bit more than, or let's say 60% of the turnover. You see here 55 billion euros and 230,000 associates. What does it mean now that you get a little bit an understanding? How is the automotive? How is it? Let me check. No, not working. Okay, interesting. Okay, how is the automotive sector looking like now? What are we producing there? A little bit struggling here with the technology. Okay, I would not say it's getting better. Yeah? Or if it's not working, I can do also by hand, right? So then I have to go to here, so okay, map and array. Let me see, but here it's working, right? No, not like this. Did we go in presentation mode? Because I think it's okay. Let's see. Should no, that's not. But okay, then it's okay. Okay, dann Milan, wir können es ja so machen. Ich sag dir einfach nächste und dann okay, machen wir Team. Okay, yeah. Sorry for this one. Code tot. How does it look like now? What is typical? We are, I would say, a full program supply in automotive. What are typical automotive supply products? The light is good here. Actually, we are starting here from semiconductors. So we have 3 wafer fabs in Germany and in the US. We are doing here, we are developing and selling vehicle computers. The trend at the moment in industry is to go from electronic control units to 1 or 2 vehicle computers, which are then managing all electronic operations in the car. Then automated driving is here a business. Hydrogen, that's a big bet for the future. So we see potential mainly for commercial vehicles. Mainly maybe you heard about Nikola, US company, who is now unfortunately under bankruptcy, but we delivered the fuel cell, and now Chinese competitors are popping up. So here we see a potential. Electrification, the sector where Milan is coming from, electric machines, electric axles. So here we are participating in this ICE transformation, which means transformation of the powertrain from internal combustion engine to electric engines. But the core business is still internal combustion engine. This means gasoline injection systems, diesel injection systems. Okay, danke. Then what are here? Vehicle motion management, here is another sector. Then software is another sector. Brake-by-wire is at the moment popping up. Steering by wire is popping up. So going from hydraulic solutions to electronic solutions. We are delivering for the aftermarket. Maybe you heard in automotive business, you have to assure delivery 15 years after end of production. That's also a big challenge here. Then e-bike and software and services. Next one, please. Okay. Important is that we are the only player in the market who is more or less providing everything in automotive. So you see here, classical core business, electrification, semiconductors, hydrogen, automated driving, and high-performance computing. Next one, please. Now, Milan and myself, we are from purchasing, from mobility purchasing. And what does this mean? So in purchasing, we have a purchasing volume of 18 billion euros. That's a big purchasing power. And we are, I will tell you later on a little bit, we are buying in Europe, we are buying in Asia, we are buying in India. So we are purchasing globally. We have 4,800 associates. Half of these associates are quality assurance. That's also interesting because we receive a lot of parts, and we have, for example, in any of our locations, in Wrocław, for example, we have teams doing incoming inspection, doing measurement of parts, doing sorting of parts. So they are assuring that the manufacturing is receiving good quality from the supply chain. Next one, please. 2,800 suppliers worldwide. That's also a lot of suppliers. And here you can imagine that these suppliers, they are from small companies, maybe 50 associates, up to big companies like Intel, like semiconductor companies, which have, or CATL, which is, for example, battery cells. They have turnover 40, 50 billion USD. So from all kind of sizes and countries. Here I would like to share with you only one figure, and that's this one. So in the meantime, 50% of the purchasing share is in Asia. So Asia is extremely important for us. Germany is then number 2. We are a German-based company. And then European Union and Americas. Next one, please. Okay, how does it look like now? What are we normally purchasing from our suppliers? And here you see we prepared several examples. We group these suppliers and the products in so-called material fields. So we can buy magnets, lenses, and labels. So that's one material field. Maybe you heard China is at the moment a little bit blocking delivery concerning rare earth topics, and this is highly affecting here the magnet delivery. That's a big challenge for us. Then we have classical plastic parts and plastic metal hybrids. So that's an housing of an exhaust gas treatment system. Then we have stem parts. We have where is it? Turned and forged parts. That's an axle of an electric machine for the electric powertrain. We have stem parts. We have batteries. We have optoelectronic devices and PCBAs, printed circuit boards. And we have casting and sintered parts. I know at the KMUTT, you're also very good in casting and motors, for example. So the purchasing volume is from simple parts up to very complex parts to modules. Next page, please. How does it look like now? Have you heard about tier suppliers? Does someone heard from you about tier suppliers? Yes? Yes? Okay. So what I would like to share with you is this classical pyramid. At the top, you have the automotive original equipment manufacturers. These are the automotive companies. You see here Toyota, Volkswagen, General Motors, but also, of course, Chinese companies now, BYD, Leap Motor, more and more who are coming up, Mercedes, BMW, Porsche. Is someone of you driving Porsche? No, not yet. Chinese car? Not yet? Okay. Okay. So here you see, let's say, our customers. And then the next level are the tier one suppliers. And tier one means that these suppliers are directly delivering to the car manufacturer. And of course, it's not only us, there are also others, Denso from Japan, Conti, Hyundai, French suppliers here, but also now more and more coming Chinese suppliers. And then we have the tier two. The tier two are delivering to us. So these can be PCBAs, it can be electric machines. And then in this presentation, you have the tier three. Tier three are classical turn parts, plastic, casting, stamping. But it's some kind of classification, which is only showing who is delivering to which level. So we can be tier two. CATL, for example, they are delivering to us, tier two, but they are delivering also cells to the car manufacturers. So depending just on the supply chain logic, how this tier logic looks like. Why is it a pyramid? Because in general, the number of companies is increasing a little bit. Yeah? So here we have worldwide maybe 150 car manufacturers. And then here on these levels, it's getting more and more. Yeah? When you understand, we have already 2,800. And then other companies like Conti may be the same. There's some overlapping, but the amount of companies is increasing step by step. Next one, please. Now let's go to supplier strategy and give you a little bit more insight in this direction. Next one, please. At the moment, we have the annual price negotiation, and these are the rounds together with our suppliers where we discuss about price reduction. And we prepared this slide. How is the situation? In general, we can say challenging times, very difficult. Why? Because we have stagnating mobility market. Does someone know how many cars worldwide are produced? Roundabout, what do you think? Make a guess. What do you think? How many cars are produced worldwide?
I don't know, millions.
Millions.
Let's say 7 million.
7 million, okay. What do you think? How many cars?
100 million?
Okay, 100 million, quite close actually. Okay, what do you think? How many cars?
Be 300 million?
Oh, no, too much. Too much. But 100 million is quite exact. At the moment, we have 4 million cars, passenger cars, plus light commercial vehicles in total. What we see is in the past years, especially before COVID, we've thought that the car market is increasing every year 3, 4, 5%. But since COVID, we see that it's more or less at 90 million. And when you look at the streets of Bangkok, you realize actually streets are full, right? And also in the big cities in China, East China, in the US, in the big cities, Europe, in the big cities, there's not so much space. So it looks like that we have some kind of stagnation of round about 90 million cars. When the market is not growing, then it's always difficult for the companies, right? So we have here a stagnating market. We have increasing competition. So we have more and more Chinese suppliers popping up. Very good prices. In the meantime, also good quality. So that's also a challenge. Then we have global volatility and geopolitical tensions. I think all of you know the current American president. So he's causing some challenges, let's say, for industry with the tariffs, which is then influencing the supply chain and the sourcing strategy, of course. Then we have technologies developing differently than expected. So we have electrification, but maybe some things that we thought, like hydrogen, is not developing as fast as possible. So general automotive industry, supply chain industry is really a challenge. Next page, please. Yes, sure. Yeah, sure.
Trucks? And what about drones? Mobility.
Drones is not our business, I have to say. I know that drones are popping up now for delivery services. You're right. It should be part of mobility. But from my point of view, I would say it's maybe 100% dominated by Chinese companies, right? So we are not really in this business. I'm just thinking if we are in aerospace, also not. What we are thinking from time to time is defense business, at least dual use, yeah, because in Europe now everyone is investing a lot in defense. So drones until now is not part of the business. But there were some discussions going on. But I think the competition is so high, actually difficult to go in the market. Autonomous vehicles is part of the business, autonomous driving. So I have BMW X3 as company car. It's semi-autonomous driving. It can drive autonomously, but only for 30 seconds. And then you have to put your hand again on the steering wheel. Yeah. But the functionality in general is there. So we see an advantage, especially for highways. I think it's a good possibility. Yeah. In Thailand, we will see later on in the presentation of Milan, Thailand is an automotive hub. ASEAN is an automotive hub. And what we are delivering from our Himaraj plant are injection valves for gasoline injection. And we are delivering connectors. And we are delivering also parts for anti-braking system. So we are delivering for, they're not Thai car manufacturers, but Chinese, Japanese car manufacturers who are producing them in Thailand. It's a mix. So we have European suppliers who are delivering to Thailand. We have Thai suppliers, turn part supplier, plastic molding injection suppliers, electronic suppliers, and we receive also parts from China. No, it's good. Thank you very much for the questions. Then, how does it look like now? What are the market trends? Here you see Bosch is number one since 2000. I would say since 2004. Before it was Delphi, American company, but we are more or less stable number one. And here you see our competitors. You see Johnson Control, you see Visteon, you see Lear, Denso, Magna, Conti. There are changes concerning turnover development. But I think takeaway for you is we are the number one. We will be the number one also in the future. Denso is a very good competitor. But what will pop up are Chinese suppliers, mainly battery cell suppliers. So probably in the next 2-3 years, maybe CATL is even bigger than our company, yeah, due to battery cells. But this is only battery cell. Okay, next page, please. This is now a view which describes a little bit this hyper competition that we have at the moment. So you see here massive price pressure here in China. See the Chinese OEMs, and you see the price reduction which is requested. I'm often in China, I'm often in Shanghai. I have to say, I see every year, I see some new Chinese car manufacturers popping up. They are very strong in electrification. The cars, what is this noise actually? I don't. Is it after every 2 minutes? Or I don't know. Okay. So actually, we say price war, hyper competition. When you buy a Chinese car, maybe it costs 20,000 USD. Yeah? So it's the people they are buying nice SUVs for 30,000 USD. So what is it actually? What is it? from the yeah. So this is, of course, when you see double-digit price reduction, that's a huge challenge, of course, for everyone. How can we tackle this?
Any questions? I have something more.
Ask a question. I mean, it's very ask every question that you like.
Just wondering, actually talking about Chinese EVs, like BYD is quite big in Thailand, for example. Actually, we have some contacts with the, I guess, the management here as well. So does Bosch have any connection or any relations?
Also, we are very, very strong in the Chinese automotive market. We are delivering, for example, anti-braking systems to BYD. Maybe I say 2 or 3 words. When we started the lecture together with Kun Jae, I've seen maybe during the day 1 or 2 Teslas driving around, right? So I have seen, this was 2000, I would say 22, maybe 2022. Yeah, extremely few electric vehicles here in Thailand, and then Tesla. Now, in the meantime, many taxis, many Grab cars, BYD, for example, but also Arteon or so, some other Chinese companies now popping up. Also, lots of advertisement. So I see that this electrification also in Thailand, India will take surely a while, I'm sure. But electrification is coming, and BYD is for us a very important growing customer, but also a very challenging customer because they ask all the time for price reduction. Yeah.
Actually, I'm pretty sure you'll be talking about this later, but I'll just bring it up now. So I believe Bosch, for example, is big into sustainability. I mean, in you and everything. So how does electric vehicle, I mean, the source of electricity, for example, is that something that perhaps in your supply chain, in your value chain, you actually consider the source of the electricity as well? You're going green technologies, right?
I think maybe it's just afterwards. So we have a chapter about carbon dioxide reduction. Maybe I just say 2 or 3 words concerning this. We have these layers. How is it called, Milan? There's nicht layers, sondern scope, exactly, scope. Concerning carbon dioxide reduction, we have scope 1, 2, and 3. Scope 1 is carbon dioxide that we are producing from our own production. And scope 3 is the supply chain, actually. And concerning scope 1, Bosch is carbon neutral since 2020. So since 5 years. Of course, we are doing also some compensation, but in total, we are carbon neutral. So that's quite good. Scope 3 is much more difficult because scope 3 means carbon dioxide reduction in the whole supply chain. We are requesting from our suppliers, we are tracking, we have targets that Milan will show you, and we consider it when we are sourcing. So when we are sourcing, we are looking, does the supplier has a program for carbon dioxide reduction, yes or no, and how does it look like? So we want to go through the whole supply chain.
Thank you so much. Please.
Oh, it's working again, so thank you very much. So let's see. Also hyper competition, I've told you. Chinese OEMs, they are coming. They are not only in Thailand, in Europe, I have to say, in Germany, they are very weak. So BYD, maybe 2,000 cars per year. But in East Europe, I've seen many MGs, for example. So also in the European market, the Chinese OEMs are coming now with very good prices. Okay, bless you. And here you see then the cost pressure coming from China, but then affecting all the European and Asian market. Next page, please. Okay, this is to give you a short view. So Asia is the most important production concerning vehicles. China here. You see here other Asia Pacific countries. Here's India included, Japan, Korea, but also ASEAN. You see here Europe, and you see here North America. So the growth is more or less in China. And here you see it in another little bit presentation. So the Chinese OEMs, they are really popping up. They are becoming a big player worldwide. Next page, please. Okay, what is now influencing the supply chain strategy? So on the one hand, you see here the move from internal combustion engine to electrification. So we have a technology change. Then we have a technology change, and on top we have this, let's say, stable market. So we say it's a stuck formation, stagnating market and transformation in combination. And that's a big challenge. Then we have high cost pressure. Does anyone know this guy here? He's, I would say, Mr. Tariffs. Yeah? So he's now influencing the whole. It's of course a challenge also because you will see later on there are two strategies: local for local, which means buy in the region for the region, which has an advantage for the tariff discussion, or low cost for global, and this means look for the best worldwide supplier. So of course these tariffs are affecting now supply chain decisions. Then we have here electronics and rare earth. We have also, of course, here a conflict which is here also in Southeast Asia, which can be extremely critical for the supply chain. That's China, Taiwan, because I think you all know that Taiwan is a semiconductor hub. Yeah, so this would highly affect the world economy, and then also production topics. Next page, please. Okay, now I will hand over to my colleague Milan, and he will give you an insight about ASEAN, how we see the region here.
Questions welcome for sure. I just would like to check. Okay, this is not working really, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, then next page. As I mentioned, I was here since 2015 and I visit all the suppliers. If you have any questions about the strategy, then we can discuss it. Next slide, please. As introduction, most of the suppliers we do have in Thailand, then Malaysia. In Malaysia, it's a hub for semiconductors, packaging, and then also the chips. We have the plant in the Malaysia, in the Penang. Now we have two of those. One is for car multimedia. We do the electronics PCBs and then displays. Maybe, you know, in Toyota, you have the buttons, and then you have also the fascia, where you need to also change the volume, and then etc. And then display, and also the software. This is done in Malaysia plant, and we send those products worldwide. They have also power tools. Maybe you're at home, the driller machine and a screwdriver from the Bosch. So all of those power tools devices are also produced in Malaysia. We have another plants, but it's for the local market. Yeah. We also had automotive steerings, but this business now was given to other production locations. We do have the plant in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh. Yes, no problem. And then in Thailand, we have actually 3 plants. The oldest one are in Amata, and then the newest one in Hemaraj. I think the picture, this is the Hemaraj plant where we produce, as Frank said, connectors, the plastic one. We supply to the Turkey and worldwide to the Germany back, and also the fuel injectors for motorcycle for the cars. We also produce here a Viper system for company Ford. The Ford produce the cars in Thailand and then deliver in the Southeast Asia, but also to South Africa, as I know. Then we do producing brake system. So there's other products as well, but it's very important. We also have the Kubota Japanese customer, and we produce the pump, the diesel pump for them. In Indonesia, we also have one plant, but it's quite small. And the plan is that we see that Indonesia will play the major role in next 10, 15 years. Will be really much more important. Why? Because the number of people living there, and also that the population is very high, and then also much more younger than in Thailand and other regions. Yeah. We also now see increasing demand in Vietnam to grow the business. So we are also now, we have the central department in the Vietnam, and we do have a lot of suppliers. Most suppliers are coming from Japan, Korea, and also China transplants due to the tax. Yeah, and then trade war between the USA and then China. I remember that they start in 2020, 21, start to move the locations and produce the parts in Vietnam and then supply us instead of in China. So it's running very highly. And also for the Japanese, Koreans, Vietnam, you have the seaports, and in Thailand, it's very easy to access. Then you have the tax-free also between these ASEAN countries here to make the business. And Vietnam, it's still low-cost country if you compare with the others one. Good. Why the ASEAN was so important for us? Actually, as I mentioned before, we planned to come here because OEM Volkswagen, but then came the Dieselgate 2015-16. They have the issues with those emissions, and that's why Volkswagen stopped to come here to make to build up the plant here. So, but we came here to already support this local for local strategy in ASEAN, and we are here, and then we can only appreciate it. ASEAN is huge. If you just take all the populations, ASEAN, we are talking about 700 million. It's third largest. Also, the GDP is growing. Just for comparison, Germany 1, 2, but in India 6%. But in ASEAN, it's every year almost the same, 4.6, yeah, 5. So we can see that there is still power to growth. It's still low cost country for us. If you compare the per hour, how much costs in USD, the labor cost, in Germany 50, in China we are talking about 10, 9, India 2.5, but we are about 2.2. It's also growing, but other countries as well. But for us, it's still considered as a low-cost country here. You know, investment. What you can see, thanks also this trade war, there is still a lot of investment coming into the country. That means that there is a growth, people will be more wealth, and they will be able to buy the cars as well in this region. Yeah. So this is some indicators that we're monitoring. We took a little bit some more detailed slides that we can show you and compare you how was the year 2022, 3, 4, 5, and then how looks like this purchasing index, manufacturer index, but we can tell you it's stable. That means that we don't see any drips. The next slide, please. If we take ASEAN together with the Australia and then also then Japan and Korea all together, then we can consider this country as very important in terms of population and also growth. Yeah? That means because ASEAN, it's not only, we don't have any local OEM here. You know, if you see the market and all the cities, as Frank mentioned, you see that many Chinese cars, but also many Japanese. Toyota is still #1 here, what you can see on the roads. We have also a lot of Koreans. So Japanese and Korean OEMs giving us 36 worldwide market share. It's still huge. So you can see the Toyota 10.6 million production per year, Volkswagen 8.7, and then Hyundai 7.2. Yeah, so that means that this region is very important, and that's why also you can see many of those cars on the roads in ASEAN, same in Malaysia, Indonesia. Japanese Korea makes 20% of global automotive production. That means a very strong one. And what is now changing, I already see, as you can see, China is producing about, we discussed 90 million cars per year globally, but China is doing 30 million cars per year. It's #1, yeah. And then now you can see that how it's growing in Poland. Actually, I was there two weeks ago in Władysławski. It's close to Katowice. And then they also, people started buying the BYD. They said, yeah, because the price is much better. And then I don't need to wait half a year if I will order the car. And then I am fan of the EV. Yeah, so that's why we can see that BYD is really coming. Geely, yeah, Chery, Great Wall, SAIC, VinFast. VinFast, it's not really visible here in Vietnam a lot. They also have the plant in USA, but now they struggle a bit with the money. Probably they will be, can be bankruptcy, who knows? It's not easy market, but you can see the Chinese are coming here. Even now in Thailand, they plan to do the production. I cannot share you the details, but we know Chery, Geely would like to produce the cars here. First, they would like to send, like it's called CKD, they would like to send components here to Thailand and build up the cars. But next years, even in Hemarash, we will produce for them e-motor. Yeah, electric motor, and then in future, probably the whole axle, whole engine, yeah, for electricity. And plan is that we will start to localize as well. That means we will search for the local suppliers, for the wire harnesses, casting products, and then stamping. It's not easy to find those suppliers. When we start here, we took the suppliers like Seiko, Citizen, those are producers of the watch, because then when people start to buy those Apple Watch and Huawei, Samsung, then they lose the market share, and they have a lot of machines, like 500 machines, very high quality to produce small stamp or turn parts, and they ask, okay, now we lose now the business, we need to step in automotive or another industry or medical. And then we start to use those suppliers also for our business. Yeah, just example in Thailand. So the Chinese, they would like to also localize, find the suppliers, which is not easy, and then produce the cars, which also brings the wealth to the Thailand. So this is how we see now the future. So EV is coming. If you have any questions, guys, yeah, okay, always speak out. The next slide, Frank. How do we see now in ASEAN the future? Because we are from automotive market, it is the biggest one share of our EBIT and also of our turnover. You can see that now vehicle production in ASEAN is 3.7, that the biggest is now in Thailand. And the prediction is that if Thailand will become export hub thanks to this trade war and then taxes, then it will grow. And then we assume that 2030 will be about 5 million. It's not so big, but it's growing. And this is for us important because that, as Frank mentioned, in other regions, there's stagnation. We don't see any growth anymore. Vehicle sales as well, very important. That means that we can see that that the people will get more wealthy and they will buy more cars, also locally, not only for export. What is interesting, there was a Thai Motor Expo. It's very nice always to go there in the spring, and you can see the many brands and then how many people already pre-order the cars. And you can see that there was now this year record high Chinese OEM bookings in this Thai Motor Expo. And what you can see, BYD, Aeon, this Aeon also we can see on the streets, Deepal, MG. MG is also very famous here in Thailand. And then GWM. So most of the Chinese brands are now gaining the market. It's easy to reach, and then also from price, it's very easy to buy for the people. Okay, and also actually some of my friends, colleagues from Bosch, they are living in Bangkok, maybe Pathum Thani and this area, and they are now working in the Himaraj, which is maybe 100, maybe 60 kilometers far away. And then they start to calculate the cost TCO if they buy the car, and also if they will charge at home instead if they had the gasoline or diesel car. And they told me it's much, much more cheaper to use the EV if they need to daily move or transport to the production plant. So now we can see that even everybody's calculating this TCO, and that they see that the EV brings much more benefits. In terms of costs. This can be also the reason why we see those EV Chinese OEMs are winning the market share. Okay. Little bit deep, how do we see now the strategy from Bosch side in ASEAN, mostly Thailand and Malaysia, those two regions that are where that we have very high footprint. Before or currently still, the Japan and Korea are technology leader for most electronics, chemicals. We also have many suppliers in the Filipino and then in Philippines, and then also in Vietnam regarding that. But and those parts are sent to all the world, from Malaysia and then Philippines and Korea and Japan. Japanese is also influenced by those big family-owned companies, and it's always not easy to get in, and then to have they have tendency also to keep the same suppliers, work with the Japanese suppliers like that, Denso, and then as a Toyota have this kind of strong cooperation. The raw material supply, it's competitive, but not anymore if you compare with the Chinese one. It's very difficult now to get the good prices. But what is we can still see that quality and then lean production is number one. Lean production is very important because it keeps you that all the resources to minimize and then keep the price at very low and always improve every year. For ASEAN, we see that it's the hub for the risking of this trade war and taxes, what is now happening in the world, because in ASEAN was always very open. They don't go against the USA. They would like to try to negotiate and then always be winning cooperative. Now this brings the second point, which is the influx of Chinese companies. What I have mentioned, Vietnam and Thailand, we see it. It's the low-cost location if you compare from all the other countries. And then they would like to be this export hub, and it's also supported by government. So Thailand, Indonesia, Vietnam, we will see that it will grow. For Indonesia, we need to wait, but it's coming. There will be initiatives from EV incentives to also produce this battery or EV vehicles. We would like to find increased localization in this region, and because of the cost, then the Chinese will be located here, and they're already looking for Bosch and then other suppliers. And this I already discussed that we see that there is a lot of innovations coming in this region. So this is something like what drives us for the next 5 years, what we need to do. I cannot go tell you details actually which products and then because now it's planning, but we can see the pipeline that most of the EVs are coming here. And what it's also interesting, maybe now in Germany, you got in the news that the Bosch is reducing the number of associates in the Germany, and now there's information, some plans, they will move the production from Germany also to Thailand, because then we see that the price will be much more cheaper to produce here, and then we will send back to Germany. Even we need to talk about the CSR and then also that carbon footprint This we also discuss in the next chapter. Okay, Frank, next slide. I think this is the last one about, yes, for sure.
How much is Bosch involved in Vietnam, for example? You talk about VinFast, because Vietnam is much more, they invested a lot more in the EV, like charging throughout the country versus Thailand, for example. So is Bosch involved, for example, in lobbying the Thai government to have more infrastructure for example, EV?
Not yet. We don't see now actually so many products from Bosch production sites to come in the Vietnam. Looks like the Thailand is overtaking all those products and also supporting Vietnam. But Vietnam for us is just like the hub of the suppliers. Mostly the Korean, Japanese or Chinese are coming to Vietnam. I would say for the Chinese that Vietnam is much more closer than Thailand because of the language. The Chinese start to living there, create their own small towns, and then the suppliers really start to be very strong for the magnets. Most of the magnet suppliers, rare earth, they are moving to the Vietnam from China and then supplying us in Thailand and also Germany and USA, Mexico. Yeah, so in Bosch, we are just have producing CV belts, yeah, but this is just like the gear. But one day this gear probably also will not be used. Yeah.
Also Vietnam is relevant for us for software development. So we have, I'm not quite sure, I think 10,000 software developers. So it's beside India. It's one of our software development hubs that we see.
From R&D.
We absolutely, yeah.
But Thailand is now like a production hub because then we got those plants and then we would like to double the size of the production for automotive. But R&D, we don't have it here. Yeah? As mentioned, R&D, biggest one in the East Europe, then we have also in India, and then Vietnam is really focused on the electronics of the, yeah.
But it's a good question actually. Yeah? Why is the preference concerning software development on India and on Vietnam? Good question.
It was established 10 years ago already. Yeah? That means the Vietnam. Yeah? When I came here, there was already a hub in the R&D in the Vietnam. Yeah. Here in ASEAN, we discussed how many Chinese OEMs are producing the cars, and then there's a prediction that now they will also produce 50% of the global Chinese OEM capacity in the ASEAN. Yeah. That's why you can see there are other locations, Malaysia, but Thailand, there is many of those, yeah, Philippines, and then also then Malaysia. Yeah, so they are moving here because of the taxes and then also export. Here, battery, inverters, traction motors will be produced here. We will also produce for them this E machine and E-axle. This is the complete, the motor set for the EV vehicles. First, now already said we will do localization. This is our project now for the next 2 years. That means that Chinese ask us to localize. And then now what we are doing, they are importing the parts, compounds produced in China. They make the assembly, but in future we will also produce supporting with the parts. Yeah. Magnets, shafts, and EV components is now that focus that will be produced here in Thailand. Raw material for magnets, but not. This needs to be imported. Yeah, same as Japanese do from Japan. Yeah, after refining or for China, but you don't have any mining or rare earth sources here in Thailand. Okay, any questions? I think regarding this ASEAN and strategy and then how we see future.
Yeah, maybe one hint from my side. What is our sourcing strategy? In general, we have a global sourcing strategy. So we try to find the best supplier worldwide. And then we evaluate under TCO, target cost of ownership, no total cost of ownership. We calculate then the overall cost which are occurring, not only the purchasing cost, we are also calculating the tariffs, we are calculating the logistic costs, and then we decide where we are sourcing. So we are regular doing bench with Chinese suppliers, but sometimes it does not make sense to buy a part in China and then transport, let's say, to a Portuguese plant of Bosch. Yeah? So we have to, at the end, we have to look at all the costs which are happening. Okay, guys, some questions before we go to risk management? I can go through and give someone the microphone.
Or do you need a short break, or we can still continue?
Are you okay?
If you
No,
give you
we-
the
we
short
don't
break,
need-
maybe you
we
will
don't- we
never
don't
come
need-
back. So maybe we will still
We
continue.
don't need. I would say let's keep on going because we don't have too much time, right? So next page, please. Risk management. Risk management is how are we handling all these challenges which are happening at the moment. And you see here, it's a little bit a summary of what you have seen before. So we have several challenges. We have increasing insolvencies. When you remember what I said at the beginning, we have suppliers maybe from 50, 100 associates up to 50, 100,000 associates. And what we see is that mainly the smaller, especially European companies, plastic molding injection, casting, coating, turn part suppliers, that we see here a trend of insolvencies. We manage round about 15 to 20 task forces every year, where we try to find solutions for suppliers which are going under bankruptcy. What do you think? Why is it so complicated when a supplier is going under bankruptcy? Why can't we say, okay, then let's go to another supplier and just buy there? What do you think? Do you have an idea why it's so complicated? I mean, when you go to the 7-Eleven, right, and your pad thai is finished, then maybe you look for another pad thai, other brand, right? You just buy it. But what do you think? Why is it so complicated in industry just to change the supplier? Do you have an idea? Yeah, the problem is first of all you have to inform your customer. So the customer has to be informed when you change the supplier, and then you cannot just buy the part. The supplier has to deliver samples, and you have to assure that the quality of the parts are good. Then when you have, for example, a casting part or you have a plastic molding injection part, you need some kind of special tool because the part is very specific. So normally it takes 1 year roundabout to look for an alternative supplier and to look for alternative sourcing. In many cases, we have 2 suppliers. What do you think? What is the problem when you have 2 suppliers and one supplier is under bankruptcy? Do you have an idea? You have an alternative? The problem is the capacity, actually. The supplier is not only delivering to us, yeah, he has a certain capacity, he has a certain number of machines, but we cannot just double from one day to another the volumes. Yeah? So it's not so easy to find an alternative. Okay, what do we have? We have the insolvencies. We have, unfortunately, more and more natural topics. We have floods, for example. We have earthquake. I know in Thailand and also Myanmar, you had a terrible earthquake in the last months, which is affecting then the manufacturing locations. We have this rare earth topic, which is influencing the supply chain. Then maybe you remember some years ago, there was this volcano in Iceland, which was influencing then the air traffic. And last but not least, in Europe, we have the Ukraine war, which is, of course, also influencing. You have Israel, Gaza. Might be a conflict between China and Taiwan. So we have, let's say, a lot of risks which are influencing our delivery. Next page, please. Okay, we talked a little bit about the ICE transformation. So here I've prepared some slide from Bloomberg. What you see here is, these more or less 90 to 94 million vehicles which are produced. So after COVID, there was a breakdown. Now we thought that it's slowly increasing. Current figures are more that it's stable in the upcoming years. And then on the other hand, internal combustion engine is going down and electrification is going up. Next page. How do we handle it? How do we handle this ICE transformation in the supply chain? First of all, we select the suppliers that we want to keep, and we select the suppliers that we want to phase out. When we phase out, we have two possibilities: active phase out, which means we are looking actively for second, third sources. Passive phase out means that we are no longer sourcing and that over the years the volumes are reduced. Then another possibility is that we define the volumes for the upcoming years and that we put the parts on stock. Then, of course, it's always a challenge here to manage it with the suppliers. We have to integrate then sales. We have to integrate the customers for the upcoming years. How do we handle the quantities? And yes, we have also to reflect if we are not insourcing parts that we bought so far. That's also a possibility that we produce them in-house. And of course, we also have to assure that the quality targets that we have defined are kept, even if we have these insolvencies, which are more and more coming. Next page, please. These are now, it's more a summary. Why we have these insolvencies now more and more. We have inflation, we have rising energy costs, we have rising raw material costs. We have this uncertain market, which means also at the end that the banks who are assuring the financial situation of the companies, that they are more and more skeptic and give the companies, let's say, are not willing to give the companies money. And this is, of course, very, very critical when a supplier wants to invest in new machines, but at the end, the bank is not optimistic about the future of the company. And all this together here is influencing this increasing risks of insolvencies. Next page. How do we track it? So we are looking on alert signals. These alert signals we get either from the internet about the companies, or when we go to the suppliers, we observe that something is wrong. So either here, maybe you have not heard about COFAS, but COFAS is an agency who is reassuring when a supplier is not capable of paying the invoices. So they are checking if a supplier is paying too late the invoices, and let's say in general if there are financial risks. So this is public available information about the commercial situation. Then if a supplier is not delivering in time, we see also a risk for an insolvency. We see here when quality topics are popping up when we go to the supplier, that maintenance is no longer done, that the shop floor is very dirty, that the tools are worn out. So this might be an indicator that the supplier is getting under trouble. And what is also a risk indicator, if the turnover is already more than 50%, which means that the supplier has more than 50% dependency from Bosch, then it's for us critical when the supplier is going under bankruptcy, because this is highly influencing our production. Single source supplier can be also very critical, because in this case we don't have an alternative at all. Next page, please. Okay, here you see again these risk categories that we are tracking: financial risk, natural hazards, strategic risk like the Bosch share, geopolitical topics like terrorists, for example, fire. Sometimes we have galvanic or coating companies which are just burning. And this is here regularly tracked and evaluated. And then measures are implemented. Measures can be, for example, a task force, interdisciplinary task force, where we define together what we can do. and then we are tracking and monitoring again. Have you heard about PDCA? Plan, Do, Check, Act. So this is this Plan, Do, Check, Act cycle that we are following up. Okay, next page, please, Milan. This gives you a little bit an insight of this so-called COFAS rating. So this agency who is delivering this financial risk indicator, they are tracking the year-end evaluation of the suppliers. They are tracking if they see something in the press that the supplier is laying off persons, and then they give some kind of risk indicator. How high is the risk that the supplier will go under insolvency next year? So you see here, highest risk category is 100%, which means that the supplier is already bankrupt. And starting from 4% probability, we see the supplier as highly critical. So this we are regularly tracking, and here we are defining measures. Starting from 1.3, we say, okay, let's observe. And everything which is here green means that there are no actions needed. And this we are tracking for all suppliers which have a turnover which is then higher than 250,000 euros. We can ask for every supplier, but in this case, we have to ask for special information. Next page. Okay. I would say before insolvency, in general tracking of the financial situation, and then defining measures, phase out or stabilization. Stabilization can mean that we support the supplier financially. And if then really something has happened, this is during insolvency, we go here in the task force mode in this interdisciplinary team, and we try to save the supplier, or we try to find a second source and alternative. Next page. Now, here you see, unfortunately, I cannot show you the numbers. I can only show you the importance. And most of the highest risk we see at the moment concerning insolvency, and here we have most of the task forces. Then followed up by fire. That's interesting, but we have per year, I would say 4 to 5 cases where suppliers are just burning suddenly due to technical issues. Then natural hazards like flood, that's more and more coming. And last but not least, sanctions, which can be also relevant. Okay, Milan, I think that's the end of the chapter. And then I move over to digital transformation.
We really go on surface now, even from Frank, because we have just like 2.5 hours. Before I go to the digital transformation, do you have any question? What the Frank said, risk management, evaluation?
If you can go back to your previous slide. Yeah, okay. So my question is, in terms of the risk management strategies that Bosch deploying, I guess, is it mostly top down, or how much do you consult much with the middle management or even at the operational level trying to see the risk? And also, since we have School of IT here, and you're talking about innovation, how much AI is involved perhaps in your risk management strategy that you're familiar with? Thank you.
First of all, I have to check if I understood your question right. So you said if the middle management of, let's say, of the purchasing organization is involved, or
I guess, sorry. In terms of risk management,
yes,
would be usually made by the upper management,
yeah,
the senior executives who try to manage the strategies for risk management. But that also involves collecting data from different
yes,
levels,
yes,
from operational to middle
yeah,
managements to also
yeah,
other sources,
yeah,
including suppliers. And with that data that's being collected, for
yeah,
example,
yeah.
So someone has to do,
Okay.
so the upper management, do you consult with the different levels?
Okay.
And do you consult with, and how much, I would say, AI you maybe use to maybe help you with the data analytics and so on and so forth, possibly that you are aware of?
Okay.
Thank you.
Also, first of all, to answer your question, we have a special service since I would say 5 to 6 years because we saw this increasing risk of insolvencies. So it's a service which is called Risk Management Service. And there are, I think, around about 20 experts only dealing in collecting data and doing professional task force management. So we have, let's say, if it's an easy task force, then it's under responsibility of the buyer who is responsible for the supplier. This is not high management level. This is, I would say, the specialist who is taking care of the supplier. So he is managing this with support of several other functions, maybe engineering, and he is then managing the task force by himself. Yeah, so that's the lowest level. If it's getting critical, especially when a supplier is delivering several plants, several business units, and we see a high risk of delivery shortage, then we take a professional task force manager from this risk management service, and he is handling it. And this is normally senior manager up to director level. So this is already a little bit higher level. So this is concerning the level. Then this service, they are responsible for collecting of the data. So far as I know, they are not using AI. They're using really databases, and they're using cockpit charts where they give a visibility and information. And when you look at this COFAS rating for this one, you don't, so far, you don't need artificial intelligence because it's just giving transparency. 2,800 suppliers, they're off in starting from this group, maybe 10%, and these 10%, they have to be observed. But the next step is artificial intelligence because these data, normally they are collected in general 1 time per year. But what we see is a supplier which can be here, maybe acceptable risk, suddenly he is losing 30% of the turnover because the competitor is stepping out. And this information you see maybe in the press. Yeah, and in this case, an AI agent, and that's the idea. So screening now the internet, if something is happening, for example, that we read in the press, the suppliers no longer taking internships, for example. So we would like to go more, much more in this preventive approach because this is more or less a view in the past. So AI will come, but until now, let's say we have more classical view on the topic. Did I answer your question? Yes. Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, then.
If no more questions, guys, feel free to ask. The next chapter again on the, we don't have so much time to go deep dive, so ask again, yeah, anytime. What does it mean, digital transformation? There are sayings now from the startups companies, if you don't use AI, then you are behind, far away. You need to use really now the AI agents and then generative AI in the company. The Bosch is quite a big company, 400,000 people. It's not easy to put one system everybody will use. So what they are doing, we are looking for the use cases, and then the users will spark others to use it because it will help them to utilize, to make better decisions, to be more faster, and then more efficient. We say we will not lay off any people now. We don't see that thanks to the AI. So we'd like to now show you a little bit about what does it mean for us as for Bosch AI, and then some use cases, easiest one. We cannot show you all the tools because all the slides we are showing you, we got also from company agreement we can share. We are using some other AI tools which can help us in special particularly solutions about the cost negotiations, etc. But this we cannot share because it's also something in the compliance issue between our customers and then suppliers. But yes, we are using really a lot. What does it mean for us as a digital transformation? Frank, can you move to the next slide? Maybe just some intro. What do you see now? And then maybe you know that when you have thought about how we can present this one, we think about the motto from bottom up automation to top down intelligence, because then when we start with the, and maybe Frank, you can go to the next slide, with Industry Revolution. Maybe Industry 1.0 was about that the mechanical looms and then steam. What happened? Many people work on the farms, and then also when you got the machines, they just move out home and then maybe lose the jobs, and then you free up a lot of power of the people. And then came Industry 2.0. It was a mass production, like Ford start. They just produced the car because they create standardized work, and they put the cars on the conveyor belt, and then they didn't care what the customer needs because they would like to move from the horses to the cars. Yeah. Again, it brings a lot of wealth to the companies. Maybe the Mercedes-Benz, also one of the companies that grew in this time, Toyota, yeah, and USA. Then came computers automation, 1970s PLC robotization. Yeah, it brings a big value now. Huh? Now when we have the robots and then all those sensors, we are able to get the data. And now we are in the next revolution after 4.0, that we are sensing, we are able to understand data and then use data for prediction. Problem is we are getting a lot of data, a lot of informations, and then the people just cannot easily use the data to make the fast decisions, because they need to consider all other features or aspects. And that's why we start to use kind of like a data foundation, and then generate structured unstructured data, use the AI agents or AI for our benefits to predict some things in the shop floor, maintenance, production planning, and also in our supply chain. Yeah. I will move. No, it's okay. Next slide. Yeah. What does it mean for this, the new AI revolution? First of all, now what we are doing, we are using the assistants. That means that AI help us now to do forecasting and diagnostics, preventive maintenance. Something happened, we are getting data, it tells us what we need to do. The next one is recommendation. Digital twin. Who knows what does it mean digital twin? Who can tell me what does it mean digital twin? Digital twin. Any example? Digital twin, guys, do you know? Have you heard about? No, twin, you know what is a twin? Same like you have somebody who is the same as you. Digital means that you will create kind of like the virtual twin of you. For example, I will give you the Boeing. You know, the planes are flying, and then then Boeing has also the virtual plane in the computer. And then here's the same trajectory, and then they can see that the storm is coming. The plane will reach maybe that the clouds, and then they will see on the plane and then on the passengers what can happen. Maybe very high turbulences, and then they will change. Or they can also change the parameters, flight parameters of the flight, and make the recommendation before they will come into the thunder, yeah, storm, because then they can simulate. Same the machines in the Bosch. We have maybe the big steamer machine, yeah? And then we can put all the parameters in the virtual computer, and we can simulate what will happen if maybe temperature rise up. Are there any risk or not? And we like to avoid of those topics. So digital twin, it makes the virtual, yeah. I think you will put on the physical device a lot of sensors for sensing. Those data will go into the computer and the software, and then you will see the same machines with the same parameters, but you are able to simulate and predict, yeah. Collaboration. Now you will see that we are using more and more not robots, but cobots. It's the guy with from KUKA or from other ABB, and they have the skin which can sense that the human is next to the robot or this cobot, and it will stop the operation because you don't want that people will be harmed. But what we do now, we like to combine the humans and the robots all together, brings efficiency. In terms that, in cases that the robots cannot do the job itself, yeah, robots we are using always loading, unloading, but if you need to do some special topics that you will need to support the robot, that we are using the cobots. Even now, for example, in Thailand, when we go to the Someone Prakan, we have the supplier who is doing the stamping. We have maybe 15 stamping devices. It's not a progressive one, but from one, there is always operator then to take the parts and put into the next stamping machine. We also do calculation. If you now, they have many employees, not from Thailand, but from Myanmar, for example. And then, or Cambodian, it was also, yeah, I remember. And now we can do the calculation if we just now use that robots instead of those loading, unloading the operators, what will be the price? And it will be also cheaper, yeah, but depends on the life cycle of this, the product. So this is what we are also doing now, yeah, trying to really use the robots in Thailand already. Then last one is agentic AI. That means one, we have those kind of, and this already running in the plants in China and also Hemorrhage, we use AI camera for the parts, plastic parts, connectors with 168 pins, very small windows are coming on the belt, conveyor belt. There is a camera sensing and teaching by each part, yeah, if the part is good or not. The system is learning. So we're also using in Thailand already. It's one company from the Europe. Once we already install those, then it's coming now this agentic AI. What does it mean? What it brings us? Do you know agentic generative AI, agents? You just tell me, you know, can you answer what it will bring? What is the benefit?
Of generative yeah, like it classify the data and like learn the pattern and can like turn into like LLM Euro and like helps human works easier and like predictive for the futures.
And it can make even the decision instead of me. That means that it will decide the best solution. That means that we don't need the people to make the decision, right? Just analytical data. Now we have a lot of dashboards, visual information, but this Asian AI will make the decision for you and can order the parts, can order the services, can act as a human. This is something that will be great. What you can do, maybe they can change also the forecast. And they can tell us now and send the forecast to our suppliers based on the customer, based on our productivity, based on we will buy the new machine. And they can say, okay, the next month we can also increase the production thanks to that, yeah, automatically. If you go to the next one, slide, Dr. Frank. Then what we see in the past, the labor was replaced. There was also the idea that this kind of politics like communism came because of now those idea what we will do with the people, they will be out of the work. There will be a lot of free labor. And then they said we need to somehow take care of them. So that's why they said they need to get some money, those people, then we need to give the home, they need to give them the work, they will earn the same amount of money and there will be happiness. Yeah. Now, problem is that with this AI, in the past, there was like we have one PhD for 1,000 people. If you would like to get some ideas, you need to always pay a lot of money. They have been dedicated, and then those resources were not easy to reach. But now with the AI, each of you has 1,000 PhDs. And this changed actually the world. That means that all the people that are in the management doing the decisions, because we are paid in the social contracts for our decisions, then those guys will be probably not replaced, but first we will use increase efficiency by AI, but maybe in the future, those social contracts will be changed. That means that you will not be paid only for to make the decision. Yeah, we don't see now in Bosch that or suppliers that there's a tendency to reduce the labor. In some companies like startups, they see already like they are replacing the guys doing some kind of description of the products by AI agents, but they are moving those guys to another jobs. Yeah, they reskill those people, but still keeping them. Yeah, but not lay off. But for sure, there are some now talks that we need to also talks about ethics and the government that this risk is coming. That we will have a lot of skills people that we will not be able to utilize. That's why we put a conclusion and future outlook. So first, we freed humans and from heavy labor. This was the industry 1 and 2. Now we see that we are able to predict, optimize, and make decisions by AI agent, generative AI. It unlocked the design, yeah, even the product design itself. We can also discuss later on about sustainability CO2. It will also influence highly, yeah, this kind of generative and agentic AI. And then what is the reason that we should also think about and talk? It's about ethical deployment, governments and collaboration, because that the wealth now we can see it's now GDP is growing in the US and China thanks to this AI. All is investing into the AI. In Europe, we don't have any data centers. Yeah, the money is now going to the USA and then China. China also offer DeepSeek for free because they would like to get more and more informations, and then much more clever AI system. In USA, you can also have, I think everybody's using, right, Copilot and then maybe Perplexity, and you are using ChatGPT probably, right? Are you using that? ChatGPT? Yeah, daily, right? Probably. Or any other language model? Which one is the most used in the students now? Gemini. Maybe from Meta, also the Liam, and there are many of those, right? The language models. Which one?
Well, DeepSeek.
As well, yeah? For example, DeepSeek, yeah? And then they said that now we can see that the wealth will be maybe located and concentrated in those big companies, yeah? Which brings risk that the human as we will not have so much benefit as the big companies. And the big companies, maybe they will start to reduce the workforce, and those big companies are paying the taxes. The states are getting the money from taxes, but if you lay off the people, you will have a lot of people now in the market available, then the state will not have enough money. Yeah. So now what will happen? How we need to now react? What do you need to do? So this is also the topics that needs to be handled in the next 2, 3, 4 years. Yeah. If you go to the next slide. This is coming from Microsoft, I think 2024-5, now the last one. They said that how AI will impact the work. If you see yourself in the first slide, this is top 40 positions that will be replaced by AI. For example, the historical, archivist, editors, technical writers, mathematicians, political scientists, yeah, telemaker, marketers, yeah, marketing, yeah. So most of the guys that are really working with their head and then they are creative, then it will be used by AI. Call centers in Thailand was a lot of hubs for the call centers worldwide. Now they are start to be replaced by AI automatically. Those people are losing their job. Yeah. So on other side, you can see that we have top 40 that positions which will be probably with the low probability replaced by the AI. What is here? Bridge operations, the barber shops, yeah, the barbers, yeah, roof repairers, yeah, I don't know, nursing, yeah. Those people, they need to still use the manual work, use the hands. But now, as you can see in China, Xiaomi, also then Tesla, they are bringing now those kind of the robots, humanoids that will also operate at home and in factories. They will be also loaded by AI and they're able to do this kind of jobs. So the future is interesting, yeah, and then just these techniques needs to be talks about its ethics and the government, how each country, and then also that how we will handle that. You go to the next slide. So call to action. This inequality will be probably the topics. That not you will have the AI, but the benefit will be probably in the biggest companies, which and then also wealth will be concentrated. Yeah, the social contracts. You will get the money that you will do some jobs will also change because then maybe you will not need it so many people. Yeah, how looks the future then? And then the education, maybe now education will be also changed by AI. Now you have, like we are coming here and telling you something, but each of you have different written pace and also the way how you understand, how you would like to perceive the information. The best teacher will be AI because they know you exactly how you fast you learn, what do you like, and then you will just say, I would like to learn the mathematics, and he will gives you, and based on tests, exactly will knows where you are in which level, and then it will load you and give you the information in the way you like it. So it will not, and then the risk is that this AI is also very clever now, and then it can also gives you the kind of bias, the background, what they want. So that AI teacher in China will be different as an AI teacher in the USA. So this also, they can control people. There are ideas that AI, if you have the AI agent and they can also order buy something, then AI can also order on server, build up the server, then maybe also hire the company security, control that, and on the server maybe they can hire the army and then start to control the humans, in the future. So this needs to be everything's discussed in the society. So this ethical design, it's very important that everybody will be able to reach AI and then government support. Now it's starting in Italy. They create the first law how to use the AI, and then it will become. Europe is actually very strong in these areas. Always they would like to put all possible laws and then these liabilities to the AI. Okay. Barriers to adoption of company for the AI, we still see that internal resistance, its topics, how to use, then access to the AI in the companies, cost, it's still the topics, lack of the skills. Maybe in Germany, the average, I think average age of the associates is 48 years, Frank, right? 45, for example. Not everybody, it's mistake to use AI like ChatGPT only to translate the email, or just write the email based on this information. The AI can do much more, that we should use, but the people, they don't know still how to put the right prompt. Legacy over the systems, data trust. For example, now we are able to use, and we'll show you ChatGPT in our company Copilot, but it's strictly controlled what kind of information we can put in. And then it's also running internally on our own. I think there's some kind of limitations that the informations, the LLM is not using those informations for learning from, and then no informations can go out of the company. But it's also quite limited for us, because we didn't let them to read all our internal informations. So this is the various adoption, and now we'll move into how we are using. The next slide. Our vision, how we can use in a supply chain, because now we go to the procurement and then vision of the AI and then digital transformation. So from the analog, we would like to move into the digital function, so everybody will have access, and then everybody can use kind of informations to make the better decision, to be more efficient. And then in future, we would like to have a digital supply chain. It means that all data coming from the customer, supplier, and then Bosch needs to be in one system. The vision was that you have value stream map. That means that each process, warehouse, transportation, you will have on one screen. You will in transportation exactly know what are the process parameters, for example, the humidity, temperature, and if you move the parts from Thailand to the Germany on the boat. What is acceleration of those maybe products, that there is no maybe that big impacts. We know exactly how many parts are in the stock, what is the OE cycle time, scrap at the supplier, what the customer needs. So this is our vision, that we would like to have one system with all the information that we need. And then we can predict what can happen. Maybe we will have the bottleneck issue in 2 weeks because there is some kind of the problem with the OE or scrap at the supplier, but the demands is growing up from in the customer. So this kind of vision, it's in digital supply chain. Now we also discuss later on about the CSR. Each product will also have like one tag about how many CO2 will generate. So in not only quality, cost, delivery, but also every product will have information about the CO, what generate or this carbon footprint. Next slide. At Bosch, still we are using the SAP and ERP system, and each department has own IT. So now it's starting to link. Our vision is that we will have one system, IT architecture, and then we will have application and technology, and then all the data will be in one system, and then we'll create the digital twins. And then based on that, we will be able to have the end-to-end functions. It will collaborate across the functions. That means that we know when the procurement knows what is the sales data, what is the production data, as I mentioned, and we'll be able to share this know-how thanks to the digital twins. Do you have any question? It has to be everything's very clear from us. If you have no questions. Okay, perfect. The next, yes.
So how do you guys utilize AI in your personal work right now, and how do you see it in 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I think just actually now we are going here and how we are using. I can tell you that daily. Actually, we are using internally, and then we will show you some applications that we have some slides. We don't have all because time restrictions, but Frank can explain how we can use
Yeah,
it.
but thank you very much for this question. So first, concerning personal usage, I have to say, I think there's, I would say at least in the last, since 1 year, there's a significant increase in this chatbot, or let's say in this ChatGPT, mainly ChatGPT in my case usage, due to this agent functionality which is now available. I use it, for example, when I do some traveling planning. So I say, okay, for example, I'm planning to do a trip to China next year with my family. So you say, okay, I would like to go to China. I have 2 weeks time. I would like to stay between 2 to 3 nights at every location. And I would like to start in Beijing and finish in Shanghai, for example. Please give me a proposal which steps I should visit. Yeah? So here, this for me one good example where you can use a chatbot function to help you, and then also to do the booking. So that's quite good. I use it also many times for searching functions because I think it gives. Perplexity is also an alternative. Yeah? Sometimes I think Perplexity is even better, but I use it, for example, when I'm looking for something specific. The weekend we had a lecture at another university, and when we prepared the slides and the exercises, we used also ChatGPT actually, because we wanted to define questions based on the knowledge of the chapters. And then we said, okay, please define 3 to 4 questions for the students if they have understood the content. And if we had multiple choice answers, please deliver us 5 good and 5 bad answers, for example. So I personally have to say, I see an increasing usage of these of ChatGPT, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Gemini. So that's really well working. What we phased out also in our group work on the weekend is that the students, they were also using the ChatGPT. So we defined our questions and the student used ChatGPT to define the answers, and then suddenly we had the same results, right? So, so we have to adapt now also a little bit our training concept because we had the same question for 6 groups, and there were more or less the same answers now. So it's interesting. So I think it goes really in a good direction to support what we see in the company. It's a little bit different because at the company you have different way of knowledge. You have people who are interested in AI. You have other people who just want to they want to use Microsoft Excel. They want to type in information. So here in industry, it's because at university we have mainly young people, let's say who learn it, so to say, from the cradle. But someone who is maybe 50, 55 years old, he has difficulties in adapting this technology. So here we are investing now. We worked out a concept. It's called digital catalyst, and this digital catalyst is an internal organization who is doing training and defining use cases and explaining the technical solutions to the people. And then you have to motivate them to use them. So that's the big difficulty. Is it answering your question? Does fit? Okay, perfect. Then Milan, maybe next page. What are typical examples now of chatbot solutions that we are starting, and maybe you use in your personal life too. First of all, translation in every languages. We have people working in China, we have people working in India. Okay, India is not so difficult because it's also English. But you have people in Thailand, you have in Europe, people in France, in Portugal. So you have a lot of translation. In the past, it was like this. We had it always in German and in English, and the people had to adapt to learn English. But now it's just a click, and we can translate more or less in every language. My personal experience is it's not always the correct translation. And I tried it out several times. Sometimes text is missing, then you have to go through. I had an example where I said, please translate me this text in Thai in English. And then I saw, okay, half of the text was missing. And then I said, please translate me also the comments. Okay. Still something was missing, so please translate me the text which is underlined in yellow. Okay, now I will do the whole translation. So it's interesting. I think it's a big help, but you still have to be very careful, so to say. So translation in languages, then conduct supplier search. We tried out a use case where we said we would like to know what suppliers are used by our competitors. And first of all, it starts with the prompting. So you need a good understanding how to prompt. But then it depends on the availability of the data on the internet. And I asked, for example, what suppliers are for an exhaust gas treatment used by our competitor. And the result was just nothing. Why? Because the supplier, the competitor is not delivering in the internet what suppliers are used. And we are doing also not. So let's say the database is sometimes just not relevant. Then maybe you use two personally, let's say when you have PowerPoint slides, big presentations, you say the chatbot, please give me a summary. Please write me down the most important topics. Please summarize 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here it's a good way. I used it also several times here. Then evaluate diverse data types and create own chatbots. And also, when we do supplier meetings, we use the chatbot to say, okay, please make me a summary of available information concerning the supplier, quality data, cost data, owner information. So when you have the data, then the chatbot is a very good solution. What Milan mentioned is we as a company, we are very careful to give out our information. And this makes it also very difficult for us to use actually all the information because we have our internet, but we don't want to use data. Or we have our intranet, but we don't want to combine it with internet information because we are afraid that the chatbot is sending out this information and then storing somewhere in the US, so to say, yeah? And then maybe US government is saying, okay, now I would like to just, or China can be also, right? So let's say as a company, we are highly concerned that crucial information is available then. So we cannot use the full potential. We are developing our own chatbots who are working in the intranet, but if I'm honest, it's not the same if you have all the worldwide information available. Next page, please. I'm not sure if you have some examples. Okay, we skipped. But more or less, these are the cases. Concerning your question, really usage of AI, we are trying now a new application. The tool is called RPP Pro, Ratio Project Planning Pro, where we are scanning all of our drawings and then and bill of materials. And then we would like to understand if we have for comparable products different specifications. You take, for example, a wire and harness application with some kind of connectors. And we would like to understand, maybe due to different experience of the engineers or maybe due to historical circumstances that we have sometimes silver coating, sometimes gold coating. And we would like to understand, can we go from gold coating to silver coating? Why have we decided to go to gold coating? Maybe it's not longer relevant. And here, artificial intelligence can help us to screen all these drawings, to screen all the information, and then to make comparisons. Maybe raw material. Are we doing different kind of steels for the same application? Are we using in China different steel than in Europe? Different steel specification. Why is it like this? Yeah, and here I see a huge potential for artificial intelligence. Okay, then more or less we're coming to our last chapter, and I hand over again to Kun Milan.
We have been asked to also go through these sustainability topics. In the procurement, we have other functions. The sustainability is one of the very important one. Why we need to focus on sustainability? Why Bosch is looking for? Does anybody can answer that? Why the sustainability is so important? Or is it important to you as an end customer? You are going to buy the car. You have the smartphone, right? And then each smartphone has also a kind of carbon footprint. How important is to you? Do you care about sustainability? No. Okay, yeah, we have the guy. Why is important? Maybe I can ask you, why is important the sustainability, or how many gas you will just add into the environment?
So I think sustainability is like you're trying to plan for the future. So when there's sustainability, basically there will be sustenance, like you preserve for the future without affecting, like you try to plan for people coming after something. So sustainability has been the boss of the day. Many people talking about it, like the green sustainability, planting of trees. So I think sustainability is great for every sector.
We should not compromise also the future generation, right? If you do nothing. And sustainability, it's not only about the gas CO2, it's also the ethics. It's about that we need to protect our workers. We need to also protect the people around us. It's not only about the gas now, yeah, that we discuss. So if you go, Frank, to the next slide, Bosch is taking very, oops, is this slide the next one? Yeah. Can you go to the next one and we'll come back to this one? Okay. The CSR on sustainability, it's not only like to reduce the gas or focus on the water. It's also, actually this is a small picture, but it's about diversity, that it also helps us to innovate. Yeah, it's about the health, and then of our operators, that we can also to safeguard them, yeah, when they work in our companies, and not only our companies, it's also in supply chain. It's also about the ethics, human rights, who is working where in tier and 1, 2, and until N. And then for sure, circular economy, water. And then we have also the or energy. So that means it's the whole package, and then we take it very seriously at the Bosch, and we can also set the targets for each of these 7 segments. Yeah, there's also governance and ethics here in the below. So it's also improve the quality of life, and then it also, as we discuss it, we should compromise that the people, our new generations for the future. This is very important to us. Frank mentioned at the beginning, we have the like scope 1, 2, and 3. Scope 1, it's what we generate by ourselves, what we are adding into the environment. That means that when we are burning something and we're creating the gas, we are already in scope 1, carbon neutral. Yeah, and scope 2 means that when we are buying electricity and then we are using that, we also generate the gases. We are also carbon neutral since 2020. It was easy because we took care about our plants where they are located. Yeah, it's about water, energy, renewable energy. Even if you go to the plant Himaraj in Thailand, they have that the roof is completely covered by the solar panels, and they are using only this electricity. for their own usage. Yeah, so they're also neutral. The problem is that scope 3 is in supply chain. Why it's so problematic for us? Why it's not so easy to achieve the scope 3? That means that the supply chain. Let's imagine that if you buy the car, well, how many years are you use the cars before you will buy the new one? What is that lifetime? In Thailand, I see on the streets, maybe the buses are 50 years old now. The cars maybe 10 years. So that means you generate by usage those products still this kind of the gas emissions. You need to calculate the whole life cycle of the product. That means that if you have downloaded a smartphone for 5 years, then every usage still generate, because you already have the materials, this kind of the emissions. Yeah, that means that it's very difficult for us also to reduce this scope 3. But we said we have the target that we would like to achieve minus 25 until 2030, this scope 3. Yeah, which is challenging because, for example, one diesel pump compounds of the 60 components. For each component, we need to know and understand what is the carbon footprint of the each components. Yeah, are we able to get a data? Can we control? Can we control tier 1, tier 2, tier 3? No, it's not easy. So we need to also do the system like audit and reports that the suppliers they need to do for us this kind of informations. We will not buy the product if you don't know what is the carbon footprint. If you go to the sourcing, every product needs to also have this information, same as the quality, cost, and then quantities. Also, we like to have this tag about the carbon footprint. Okay, then we go to the next slide. Why so important for us? Currently, top 10 risk globally in the world. You can see misinformation and disinformation. It's everywhere now on the internet. You cannot trust anybody. When we did lecture, we actually also created the one video, funny one, when Donald Trump talked about the friend Frank and Milan that we give the lecture to the students. You cannot even trust your eyes because then you can fake everything now. Yeah. And then that's why this is the topics about the ransomware, cyber security, how we can share data, what kind of data, can we trust? This is topic number 1. We also have the weather events extreme. Now you know that there was a typhoon in the Taiwan, Hong Kong now, yeah, in the Southeast China. There was big issues. It's coming more and more often. Social polarization. It's thanks to the social media. Everybody have their own voice, and then you are able to attack some people. The groups create, and then they start to fight each other against. Cybersecurity or insecurity is the topics. Armed conflicts. It's in the Europe we have the big issues, and then now Thailand, Cambodia, they're kind of issues that we have here. Yeah, so it's coming. But in the next 10 years, they see that those the green one points will play the major role. Extreme weather events, critical change to Earth systems, biodiversity, and we will have the problem with natural resources in some countries. Yeah. Now everybody's looking for the rare earth. Yeah. Main minings in China. Yeah. They do 60-70% of the world. The demand and also the refining, it's about 85 to 90% in China. We also have resources in the USA, they are in Africa, but they are not touched yet. We do have also in Australia and then in Malaysia do the refining, also in Japan. But there's still China is the most important, and they start to restrict to have access. Currently now we also have some kind of issues that the Mercedes-Benz ask us that we are produce the e-vehicle, and then we need to get the license from the China and write down exactly the quantities, in which part goes, in which product goes those rare earth materials. If you go to the military, we will not get any approval, and also they control the quantities. Yeah, if you don't get it, they will stop in the China, all those rare earth materials. You go to the next slide. This is about how complicated is this greenhouse gas protocol, because we can focus only ourselves, but also for the tier 1, tier 2 until tier N. Yeah, so in the control. Here you can see that scope 1, it's our transportation, logistics topics, and our facilities. We are already green. There is no issue. Tier scope 2 is about that we are buying the electricity, steam, heating for our own use, and then we are also green. So all the 270 plants. But these upstream, downstream activities, it's also not only like transport, like distribution, processing, it's also the recycling of the material. It's also that the usage of those products, yeah, in the cars. They have the upstream activities like business travel. Frank mentioned that he likes a jet ski and then also that he drives a fast car. Actually, he is the guy who creates a lot of, generates a lot of the gas, and then he goes against sustainability. No, I'm joking, yeah, but you do understand. Okay. But you can see even the business travel that we are coming here, yeah, it also generated from the company kind of that gases, yeah. So I would like to tell you that this everything the company needs to now cover, and then if you like to manage, you need to measure. If you need to measure, you need to understand what are the data. So that's why it's also give us a lot of administration works to go and deep dive what suppliers are doing. Yeah? Let's imagine that we are buying one product from the steel, and we cannot just go to the 5-tier suppliers under the mine where they just take this raw material. Yeah? There is a legislation in the past there was in Germany and in Europe that you need to be responsible for a whole supply chain until to the mine. But then at the end, there was a conclusion that, okay, even that OEM or tier 1 will be responsible until tier 2 if something happened. But that means if they have the child laborers in the mine, we are not responsible, but we need to have the measures that our suppliers, they need to provide us the reports that they are also checking their own tier N suppliers. And then we need to also check that they are doing that, but we don't need to go to the mines. Yeah, so this is also the big improvement in the last years. So I just like to show you that it's not easy. Yeah, transport, waste generating operations, capital, yeah, purchase goods, services, everything needs to be concluded in the CO2. We are using the software for cost calculations, and there is also the field that calculated how much we generate this CO2. So every product we are buying, and also we are producing. Frank, do you have any questions? Yes. Don't ask me about the mines in Africa.
So my question is, Bosch is a manufacturing company. So traditionally, like this manufacturing is from machine-driven processes. So do you see like manufacturing to go to fully AI engineered systems? How is Bosch like? Do you have any plans for that?
AI?
Yeah.
Bosch is mostly, we have machines, but we are mostly assembly company. We outsource all those components, our machine and then die cast, even here in Thailand. If you go to the Himalaya Mata, you will see assembly lines. This is our core business, and we also design how the product looks like that we are buying, but we outsource or everything, yeah. And then when you ask me about AI for assembly line, it's much more easy because you have the loading, unloading, the machine is doing something. We have a lot of sensors that we put in the right correction. Maybe now I can tell you in Hemorrhage, you produce the injector. And then every department is looking to have at least 4 or 5 guys, data scientists, that are using the data and do the projects, yeah, beyond on those data. In Hemorrhage, for the injector, they are testing assembly part, how long the part, how many holes we have, or what is the perplexity, and then also they test the spray function. And based on those data, they are able to say how the product will work in the customer car. And then we are able to take this part and don't out of the production and don't send to the customer. It's a prediction. We have our own LLM model, and then we make a decision based on the data from each component, because we need to put, I think, 16 components all together for an injector. But based on those informations, we are able to say maybe this will be the faulty part and we will not send to the customer. So this is how we are influencing by AI. But our suppliers, I will just finish that in Samut Prakan. There is a die casting Japanese supplier. We try to create digital twin for die casting. It's very expensive even for the company to buy all the sensor, to put in the melting the cave, then also the measure that pouring speed, temperature, losing, to tool, cycle time. It's easy. But those internal parameters, if you don't put in design, it's very difficult to sense it. Actually, this was a project with Kunjay. So we achieve some kind of data, but and then idea was to find in the part that there are some kind of lunkers, porosity coming from hydrogen. But it's if you don't start in design, now it's very difficult to sense all those parameters that you need for the AI usage.
Yeah, but maybe to add, AI is part of the company's strategy, I would say, since roundabout, Milan, even before we started with digital manufacturing. So I would say since 5 years, all managers, starting from group leader, had mandatory AI trainings, also including Milan and myself. So we had to do 7 web-based trainings where we learned a lot about use cases, but also about programming, about the risks, about all kind of possibilities, large language models. So I think we have at least a basic understanding. Everyone should have a basic understanding what AI is and what chances are in AI. How do we use it? All kind of applications. It starts with engineering. For example, one interesting case you asked about autonomous driving, and you need a lot of programming and collecting data for autonomous driving. But in the meantime, you can generate also artificial data. For example, you say, okay, now let's simulate some data where it's raining or where it's snowing, and you use the simulated data then to train your system. So that's quite an interesting application, because otherwise you have to wait until it's wintertime or it's raining, then you drive around, then you take your data collection. So in the meantime, there are many use cases, quality, as Milan mentioned, to find dependencies between, let's say, process parameters, welding parameters, leakage of welded parts. So quality, production. I would say call centers, of course, is the typical use case. So more or less, AI is affecting all kind of functions in the meantime. Is it answering your question? Yeah? Okay, perfect.
What challenging do we have, but not only in Thailand or ASEAN, but also in the Europe? Most of the companies are using machines which are 20, 30, 40 years old. They have PLC, but also limited PLC. We can have the cycle time, maybe some consumption, that's it. But the process parameters we are not able to get. Even the PCB supplier, maybe the tripod, Taiwanese, one of the biggest supplier for the PCBs, 12, 16 layers. You have the PCB, you need to also drill holes. To get the information about the speed, maybe the maintenance, maybe also that how deep they always drip this kind of a drill, it's into the manual. The machine cannot sense it. And you need to put kind of like maybe for RPM, the laser sensor, which is not easy to put in the machine. So many machineries are 30 years old. Why? Because also of the cost. It's already depreciated, and this is the benefit. If you buy the new machines, it's easy probably to get those data, but for the old one not. And we need to add on sensors special to sense parameters, but not all we can sense. So this is still a big issue that we are not able to run AI on easily on the supply chain. But we try, we did like 40 projects already, and then we achieve some kind of, we have a lot of bias offset in the data, but anyway, we are trying to find how we can predict the scrap and then high cost at our customer, because we don't want that you will buy the car and then you will have kind of an issue with the car coming from the both part from our supply chain. But we do have these projects.
You mentioned earlier, actually, I'm just wondering how Bosch actually leveraging, maybe you talk about collaborative AI. How do you use collaborative AI? In what sense? How do you use that?
In collaboration, we are using these kind of cobots. I think it was also that Bosch designed from that we put a special skin on the robots, and they are just working together with the operators in the line. For sure, idea is that we will have the black company, or how it's called, that we don't have any lights, and then it will be only, you don't need to use electricity, and also to use to generate another CO. That means that only robots will work in the line, but still we are not far away in this production to use it. So AI itself, mostly productions are still running with the operators at the beginning or at the end, and then we tried for sure to have like the model line. Modular, that means that you can also change the flexibility and it's operate themselves. But AI is still not like driven. Maintenance we are using a lot of for maintenance, collecting the data, and before something happened, that we can predict something. This we do a lot, yeah, usage AI.
I'm just curious. There was a slide he showed like you use AI as for language translation. So communication is key in business. So you guys are in in Asian region. So is communication like a challenging factor for you?
I think the main language is the English. So even when I was in Thailand, I can speak Thai, but I don't need to because every associate in Bosch in Thailand speak English. So I think this is worldwide. Yeah. So we don't have this issue, and actually we don't need to always translate emails because the communication is in English. That's in Vietnam and then in every country. I don't have even China. English is normal language. Yeah.
I would say it's okay for the office area, but for example, when you go to production, because you have a lot of procedures in production, and then you have to translate in several languages. It depends a little bit on the educational level, but as more as you go down on the shop floor, as more difficult it is at the end. So we need the translation, especially for official documents. That's absolutely needed. Emails, I would say, no need to translate all the emails. So emails are normally in English, but let's say official documents, procedures, we need these. Also, when we are sending something out, which has to be followed, then it's better when you have it in several languages.
Yeah, these kind of blue collars, and then for sure in plant. In Thailand, when I go to the suppliers, they have the workers from the Nepal, Myanmar, Cambodia, and then they also you cannot speak Thai. Yeah, same in Malaysia. I remember that. A lot of Nepalis. Go back to this Paris agreement that all the OEMs agree to, even the Bosch and companies. I just like to show that we don't do sustainability not only for us, that we have the ambition to safeguard our workers, but and then about the healthy and then to follow the greenhouse policy. But the Paris Agreement said that we would like to be also neutral until to 2050. Yeah, everybody signed. It's also that the legislation which push us to do that. And many investors, like in USA, if you like to, they would like to put the money into the companies, they already are advanced or they follow this kind of rules. Funds would like to, even our customers, they ask us when and then what is your targets, what you are doing for. So it's not that we want, but also there is a third parties requesting this kind of topics. As you can see, most of those signed agreement 2050, but already like Mercedes-Benz, he said, now, currently, I am in the greenhouse emissions in the level of minus 75%, but I would like to achieve 2040. And now they have the plan for that. So then you can see that even Bosch now, we said that we would like to be in the greenhouse completely. We would like to be minus 15% in 2030. And we don't have still the target we will achieve because then there's a big discussions and then setting the targets which will be set next year. How would like to be that also zero. Yeah, achieved. Because it's not for us easy because we are a worldwide organization and the supply chain, it's really big issues because we need to achieve all data transparency from our supply chain. The main issue, disadvantage, they said it brings a lot of administration cost, bureaucracy, yeah, because then you need to start to track, have the people, audits. You also need to, even Frank and I, when I go to the supplier, we have to check and do the audit. It's called corporate social responsive quick scan, and we'll check and ask for the water, what they do with this. We will check the employees. If we see any risk, then we need to talk to our officer and then create a big deep dive audit. We check, we ask about the electricity and then all the informations, yeah, that are related to the CSR. or Chinese suppliers need to follow up at the same. Even when I was in China and I go to the supply frank, we seem to keep eyes on the CSR, and then we do the audits. And then if they don't follow audits, we cannot buy the product from them, or there will be really, I have one case, there's a supplier for the powder of the magnets next to the North Korea. And then we found some issues. That means that we also create the audit, and then they got 2 years to improve the situation. Can be also to block the exit. That means when you see that the people cannot just run away, something happened, it also triggered the audit and then the measures that we need to take care about. It's a big topics, actually. That's why who else from the Bosch services can take care, and that's why we said procurement has the access actually in the supply chain, the data to the suppliers, that it's our part to take care about. How we can measure this carbon footprint, there are 2 topics. One is, or 2 calculations, corporate carbon footprint. It's about the companies itself. That's easy because then we have all the data we can measure, and we can put the tag, how many carbon we generate. The second one is the product carbon footprint. Let's imagine you go to the store with the smartphones, and every smartphone has also the parameters, price tag, and also the carbon footprint tag. And you will decide based on this how many carbon it generates during the usage and production. That means even you as a final customer, you will make the decision if you will buy this product or not based on the carbon footprint. This is now what we are doing already in the automotive business. For this product carbon footprint, as I mentioned, the smartphone, laptop, can be also that you buy the coffee, everything. We would like to just show you that it's coming from the raw material, from tier N, through the transportation, production itself. This is the supplier that they need to measure. Then it goes also production at Bosch and upstream transportation to the Bosch. And then it goes to the downstream transportation, usage of the product, maybe 15 years, 10 years. We need to also define the lifetime. And then you have also disposal. So it's not finished that you will sell the car. If somebody else is really using a second car, still he will generate carbon. And then disposal, who will take care of disposal? It's also we need to consider. So it's not so much, I would like to show it from cradle to grave. And then the emissions at the end, it's the summary of all these activities in the whole supply chain. That's why it's so complicated, and that's why we set a target 2030 that we will minus, I don't know, those 15, and then we'll continue, but we don't know will be the 0 in the GAG greenhouse emissions. Next slide. Some key figures, because as I said, you need to measure if you like to manage. So here you can see a lot of projects running for the water quality and also reduction. We are using WWF, this World Wildlife Fund, to understand which countries are much more we should focus, because there is a high risk of this water quality and then availability. So they are running like 250 projects. Also about electricity, 2024, 1,100 projects, how we can reduce the electricity and use the renewable energy. So as you can see now, our goals 2030, 1.7 terawatt hours. We are now already in 67% of achievement. New clean power that we would like to reduce 400 gigawatt. We are in 50%. Green electricity, 99.5. So we are really using now this renewable energy. And then carbon offset, it's also said here that what is the target and where we are. So still we need to go to achieve the 0. Again, sustainability, it's also about the health, human rights, people. It's very important because in Thailand, I know we always have a lot of activities with the orphans. We go to the schools, to the kindergarten, we go to the forest, and then we start to clean up the beaches, and then to put the new trees. So there in every country, you do activities to improve the social, if we can. So it's also one big part of that, how we can also support the countries. We would like to take care about the workers. That means they have to do the breaks, they need to have the good work conditions, that we will protect them. And also be resilient, and then don't have any issues in affected countries. Health, everybody in Thailand, I remember, is going for free to have the health check. and then once a year, and then there are some other programs also to keep them happy. We do the sport activities. So it's not only about the carbon itself, it's also about how we take care about the society. Okay, the next one. We have the true north. I mean that what I would like to mention that this is our compass. It's unchanged. We know where we like to go. We have also kind of important steps. You will get the slides. You can take a look. But what I would like to say that our focus is, and this is, I think, was initiated. There was a consortium between BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, etc., Mercedes-Benz. They would like to use the Catena X system. It's one software platform where you need to type all the informations about in your supply chain about the CSR. And then this will gives the transparency from the complete supply chain up to the end customer. So this Catena is running, and then this product carbon footprint will be already in the system. When you do acquisition, new projects, we will get the information from the supplier, we'll put in the system already. So this is our true north for the future. That means we'll have completely footprint calculated. Yeah, and how we can do it? We are using dashboard, exchange with the suppliers. We are going to the supplier, explaining the topics. So you can see that how we are working on every deployment of this PSF. I think this will be the last slide. I think so. Do we have last maybe 8 minutes, 9 questions? It's very generic, right? That means we are not able to deep dive about the AI and also about its kind of sustainability. We just need to give you the insights of what we are doing. We discuss also about the strategy and the purchasing global or local. Thailand, it's very important for us. We discuss about how do we see the future, because we see that Thailand, it's very really important for us. Malaysia will be important from the point of view semiconductors, PCBs. Thailand most like a production of the cars. Vietnam, raw material, and then also that the components, not only for local, but also local to global. Yeah.
So we've got a lot of tech men and women here. Most of us are from the IT department. So are there any internship opportunity for us?
Actually, this is the reason why we came here, because then when you do like 3 days session, we also invite general manager of Thailand, that he would like to talk to you, give you the message, and HR. She will spend 1 hour with you. She will provide you the internships and then discuss with you how we can get it. And then she will give you also not only internships, but also job opportunities in Thailand and also in ASEAN. What we will do for you, I will share you the slides from HR. And then there are also the link for internships. You can search for our IT, there are for engineering, research, production that you are able to join. It's mostly about the 6 months project that you can work together with the Bosch. So, and there will be the QR code, and then that you can just go in the list and then select. And if you need any support, you can just let us know. Yeah. Yes.
Is Bosch producing any like R155 compliant products, R155 cybersecurity in Thailand?
No. We do a lot of software for the cybersecurity, but in Thailand we are really on focus on automotive. Yeah. Probably this one will be topics for Vietnamese guys, because they do, and Indian guys, that we have the hubs regarding the cybersecurity. I know that they do a lot of tests for the cybersecurity. I remember that we discussed also the AI projects about in Vietnam, that they do this kind of controlling where they do the PCB. They are trying to find if somebody can read out the data from the chips and then put the pins on it. And then, so these projects are running in Vietnam, yeah, but not in Thailand. This is probably done not here in Thailand, yeah. I think in Germany for sure, and then I know that in Vietnam they have those kind of projects for cybersecurity. Actually Hong Kong as well. As now I remember, we have also the big group of the technical guys. They do the cybersecurity in Hong Kong from the Bosch. Yes. There was also some of my questions. If you have the internships, it's paid internships, so it's also that you will get some kind of money.
I have a question in risk management that, as Frank says, have one supplier is a risk.
that the supplier can be a bankruptcy or some kind of that. And specifically, for many supplier, they offer specific machines, specific supplies that how can you manage or balance the easygoing process between supplier and you, and how to remain keep profit on your book.
It's about the risk, yeah? So Frank, you would like to take over?
But can you please repeat again that I really fully understand? Just say it again, please.
As you says, have one supplier is a risk, and have many suppliers that you says it's hard to change supplier because supplier offer specific machine or specific supplies that can cost many in maintenance costs, and how can you balance the easygoing process between you and supplier, and how to remain to keep profit green.
Let me see if I really understood your question right. So what's happening? Let's take the example of a plastic molding injection supplier. And when you have a plastic molding injection supplier, you have specific tools for the parts, right? Normally it's like this, that we own and pay the tools. The tools are in our property. It can be also that the tools are part of the price, but normally, because that's also a lot of money, so these tools can cost maybe 100K or even more for if they're specialized for plastic molding injection. So we buy the tools are ours. The machines are more or less general injection machines. So first of all, there is a certain, it makes it a little bit easier when we own the tools, because then we can transfer the tools. So when something is now happening, first of all, we have to screen, and I start from scratch now. First of all, we have to screen what products are affected. Let's say, what parts are the supplier developing to us, and what kind of business units are affected then. It can, maybe a supplier can deliver a part for an exhaust gas treatment, but he can deliver also a part for a braking system. So first of all, we have to get some kind of transparency. And then we sit together with the supplier and see, first of all, what are the possibilities that the supplier can keep on going with the delivery. That's the first topic, which is important. And usually the supplier asks for money. First of all, some kind of lump sum. Let's say maybe, okay, I need immediately 500,000 euros, otherwise I cannot pay the salary. Or we agree on a certain time, limited time of price increase for the products, so we assure the financial situation. And then the suppliers keep on going. Then we are defining minimum quantities that we will order, let's say for the next 6 to 12 months. So we assure the delivery. So first of all, we have to gain time, so to say, and we are gaining time by clear delivery contracts and by financial support. And then then there are three alternatives. So one alternative is that the supplier finds an investor. So we help also with the investor, which means the supplier can keep on going with the delivery. Second one would be that we have enough time to look for a second source. In this case, we transfer the tools then step by step. And the third alternative that we have is sometimes insourcing, that we say, okay, we have so many manufacturing sites. Maybe you remember that we have only in automotive, we have more than 100 manufacturing sites. So then we check what manufacturing site would have the capability now to do it in-house. And these are the possibilities how we proceed. Is it answering your question? Okay, thank you very much. I'm afraid we are through, actually. I would like to thank you very much for your questions. I know it's not so easy, so maybe maybe the topic is new for you, then maybe also language barriers. So we would like to thank you very much that you were willing to ask your questions. And I think, Milan, we can say we really enjoyed it together with you. So thank you very much. Kapuma Kap from our side.
So basically, on behalf of KMUTT, I would like to say thank you, Dr. Frank and Mr. Milan, again, for a very good talk today. And again, please give a big applause to both of them. Hello. And before we leave, I would like to ask everyone to come up here and have a group photo, maybe? Can you? Yeah, just stand up and come up here for a group photo for a bit. Should we switch off the audio? Somebody will have on the head Bosch logo. Closer. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.